Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. Let's take our shiny new Boeing 737-800 out for a ride from Melbourne to Sydney. I wanted to cover a flight in Australia for a long time on this channel, but since the prime time in Australia where air traffic control is online is just so much of the time that my viewers are online, it was never really worth it to do it on a live stream. So that's why I've decided to pre-record this video and combine it with one of the first flights in the 737-800 as well. So let's go ahead. We will have some very exciting opportunities ahead, and if I'm totally honest with you, I have not really flown a lot in Australia yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how the procedures with air traffic control are looking like over here as well. But before we're going to start off with everything, let's have a look at our shiny new Boeing 737-800 and do a walk around. Starting off underneath the wings here. Gladly they left the top probe intact with that jetway. Right, always hassle to get into the nose wheel well, but here we are. Note that this video is recorded with a pre-release version, so not everything might be 100% final as of quite yet. I really start liking those details in here, by the way. So, going along then. If I do notice anything to be out of the ordinary, by the way, I am definitely going to mention it to you. But so far, everything does look quite the way it does on the real airplane. Always look below the engines, because it is very easy to accidentally hit the runway with an engine. Just requires about 8 degrees of bank angle to do so. So we always got to be very careful during the walk around to be sure that there is no damage below the engine. Because it can happen very easily, and you really don't want to fly with a broken engine, do you? Well, we aren't gonna see a lot with the lights off, so I guess we'll just have to live with that for now. Ooh, what do my eyes see in there? We have to get into the cargo hold. Is that? Yes, that's the pogo stick! Guys, we found it, finally! And hello there. Well. So, those of you who've been with the channel from the beginning on, you know we've been searching for the pogo stick in the 700, but we've made it. We found it, finally. And not just lying around in the office, but actually in the airplane. So, the tail skid, also something new on the 737-800 that you haven't seen on the shorter ones. If you were to do a tail strike, you would see it right on here. So here's where the scratches would be. So when you do the walk around in the 800, always take a very careful look over here, because that is where you are gonna find it. Yep, nothing visible inside. We should have turned the lights on previously, but well, gotta live with it for now. At least no signs of bird strike or anything, so I didn't break the airplane while doing my beta tests. And number 1 engine, no scratches as well, very good. Alrighty, so that is it, our brand new and shiny Boeing 737-800. It does look quite a bit strange after seeing the 700 all the time, doesn't it? Let's have a look from the other side without the jetway obstructing us. So this one goes under the title, The Last Thing the Bird Saw. Had to mention that. Saw that meme a while ago online and had to laugh so hard. Alright, so that is it. Our brand and shiny new Boeing 737-800. With this set and done, let's head over into the flight deck and actually start setting up our flight. So as you saw, without any doubt, we're sitting in the Qantas livery over here, and we have a real-life Qantas config, so that means we have an head-up display, which looks kind of interesting combined with the old MCP, doesn't it? But that's what we have in here, so that's what we are gonna fly with. Let's go ahead then and start our ground operation. One thing that you will notice is that in the 800 everything is gonna take a little bit longer, especially when you came from the 600, because it just has so much more space inside. You can see we've got 160 seats in a 2-class configuration, and we'll have even more when we are going single class, up to 184 in PMDG's config. Yes, for those of you who are wondering, I did ask for 189 configuration, but for some reasons that I can unfortunately not really explain, it was not possible because of the way that all the code is bound with one another, and it would have been so much work that it would have delayed the release significantly, so that's why we have decided to keep it at 184 seats. Let's have a look into our flight plan then, going from Melbourne to Sydney, and let's see what the weather forecast is going to be. So, Sydney, cavalcade, light winds, nothing to worry about. Our alternates, Canberra, goes 26, doesn't matter. Everything else is cavalcade. Let's have a look then at the fuel, what they planned. They planned it to Canberra, that's fine, so we'll take 5.8 tons of fuel. So, in the 800, even more than in the other types, it's very important to get the ground services going as soon as possible. And, one thing, however, before we are actually going to start with our boarding, first of all, you're going to notice that we're now able to request the ground cards, and as soon as the fuel truck is in place, they're actually going to arrive so that we can start the loading of our luggage. And this was not possible in the smaller 737s, but the 800 is so big that it's perfectly possible to do both loading and fueling at the same time, so that is simulated by PMDG. Another thing that we can finally do is to properly handle our virtual performance tool. So let's go ahead with that, and let's actually have a look at how proper handling of the VPT looks like. So we've always got to do a little bit of a pre-flight preparation there. So we're going from YMML on a runway that I don't quite know yet. Let's actually have a look and a listen at the HOTAS. Gonna find that one on 118.0. Or at least we should. Looks like the VATSIM server is currently not doing it. Well, that's unfortunate, but we'll survive it. So it's going to be runway 27 for arrivals, 34 for departures to the northeast, and 27 for all other departures. Well, we're flying to Sydney, so I guess we are going to the northeast actually then. So runway 34 for us. Let's just take an intersection. We'll this is just a very rough performance calculation, by the way, so this is really just looking ahead and putting something in so that we can calculate our dispatch weights. For the arrival then, we're going to Sydney, King Fahd Smith International Airport. The runway is probably going to be 34 left. 2.5, dry. Forecast wind is 310 with 8 by the time that we arrive. Temperature 15,107. For the dispatch, always take flap 40 for the calculation, so max landing weight is the structural limit weight. Now comes the interesting part here. We can finally use the weight and balance tab. So let's quickly set something up here, and let's use our virtual dispatcher. Take a file from SimBrief, and this is the interesting thing now. You know that in real life there are always missing passengers, always somebody is not showing up and stuff like that. So, finally, we're able to actually generate the load instruction document and load the airplane accordingly. So let's go ahead and do that. We can see we've got 130 passengers plus 2 infants, so let's say we'll take 130 over here, and you guys can already open the door and start the boarding, please. And then for the cargo, we are going to take, what is it? We have 1,712 kilos in the forward hold. As you can see, the baggage trucks are here, and they start loading up the airplane while at the same time we're still refueling. So in the 737-800 you're able to do the turnaround in a little bit quicker manner than on the previous versions. So before we're able to start the boarding, let's quickly do our safety inspection. So the battery is on, hydraulic pumps will go on as well, power is on, fire test, to the left, overheat detection, yeah. And to the right, everything's illuminated, and the cancel button does work. So that's what I wanted to do, thank you. Alright, emergency exit lights are on, fasten belts, no, they're gonna go off, because fueling is still not finished. So we can start the boarding, and then we can also start the fueling. Right, so that's pretty much that part complete. Let's go ahead then and actually start feeding our FMC. So enough data out of date. Yep, the same thing that we had with the 737-600. So Navigraph will have to update, but my video on how to do it manually is still going to be available for you. For the routing then, let's see. We're going from YMML to YSSY. And we are the Quebec Fox Alpha 462. Departure. What do we say again? Which runway is it going to be? Runway 34. Alright. So 34, dorsal 1 departure. And then in Sydney it's going to be runway 34 left with the Rivet 3 arrival. Perfect. So, also interesting today. According to an online database that I found, it looks like Qantas is actually flying Cosnx 40 on domestic flights. So that's going to be for some, that's going to make some very interesting speeds up there. See then 370 is planned and 261 at 25. Right, transition altitude. I honestly have to say I have no clue what that is in Australia. So let's actually find out. In the meantime, top of climb either at 15 degrees warmer, so make that minus 41 degrees outside. So let's go ahead, Navigraph charts all the way. And we are gonna do a new flight over here from Simbrief, thank you very much. Also one departure, transition altitude, 10,000, alright. As I told you earlier on, I have never actually flown in Australia before, so... Well, I have done a couple flights, sorry, that was wrong. I have done a couple flights, but that's been a while ago as well. Alright, so.
Thank you, Captain. Have a nice flight.
We're gonna work on those translations again, VPT. We are gonna work on those again. So with the head-up display, I always find it a little bit nasty that you actually have to move your head over here in order to be able to see something properly. So just about taking 130 passengers today. That's not a lot really. Filling's still in progress. So for the 737-800 it's not a lot. So, do notice up here our new voice recorder switch. I'm actually going to do a separate video on that one. We also have a secondary circulation fan. Overall, the panel's looking quite a bit different up here. But we're going to get to that eventually. So, flight level 370, and we'll take 50 feet landing, actually 0 feet landing elevation. We do have maintenance here, so ignition onto the right system, flight directors of course. And do we have an initial climb altitude here somewhere? No, doesn't look like it. Alright, then I'll just put something in, say 5,100, and whenever ATC is giving us clearance, then we'll have to adjust it anyway. 340 on the courses, looks like it's all on off over here, so we'll set 340 over here and over here as well. So which unit of measurement for the altimeter are they even using in Australia? Is it going to be inches or hectopascals? No, hectopascals it seems. Alright. So 1003 then. Oil quantity and percentage. God damn you, Qantas. No, just joking. Okay, before I'm gonna brief any bollocks, let's actually go ahead then and request our IFR clearance. We have a tower online on 120.5, so let's have a chat with him. Melbourne Tower, good evening. Qantas 462 information. Uniform request IFR clearance to Sydney.
Qantas 462 Melbourne Tower, good evening. Stand by. Qantas 2361, contact departure, what, 8.9 tonight.
Apologies, repeat departure frequency, Qantas 7351.
No problem, 118.90.
118.90, Qantas 7351, thanks for ATC, mate.
Qantas 462, you're cleared to Sydney by Go-Style flight plan route. Runway 34, with Go-Style 1 departure. Flying by the speed 5,000, squawk 4437, and departures on 118.90.
Qantas 462 is clear to Sydney via Dozell. Flight plan route, runway 34, Dozell 1 departure, climb 5,000 feet, squawk 4437, departure frequency 118.90.
Qantas 462, Melbourne Tower, jet south 516, radio runway 34, Golden Point Juliet. Jet south 516, squawk mode Charlie, and...
Right, so we've got the Dozell 1 departure, climb to 5,000, on the squawk 4437, departure 118.90 is pre-selected. So that is just about perfect. In that case, let's go ahead and do our route check.
Jet south 516, no problem, departures tonight with 118.90.
So again, from Yankee Mike Lima, Yankee Sierra Sierra Yankee, Quebec Foxtrot Alpha 462, and routing is then via Dozell, Yankee 59 Rivet, and Rivet arrival for runway 34, giving us a ground distance of 423 versus 407 in the FMC. 3.4 tons remaining, 2.6 needed, so we have 20 minutes of extra fuel in the tanks.
516, if you're ready, runway 34, you clear to takeoff. Clear to takeoff runway 34.
Alrighty, let's go ahead then. Our time yet to see is 0547, altimeter 1003, reading 400. The MFA is going to be 1400, setting that now. Flight directors are on, minus master, and the standby instruments are set. It's going to be a left-sea takeoff from runway 34, flaps 5, noise abatement 2, and we have an EOS that's taking us about straight ahead, and climbing to 4,000 feet. That should keep us safe all around. Let's see, for the emergencies above 80 knots, alarm reject for fire warning, engine failure, predictive wind chill warning, aircraft unable, unsafe to fly, fire call stop out simultaneously, close the throttle lever, disengage the auto throttle, climax manual brake and verify operation of the RD auto brakes, manually raise speed brake lever, climax reverse for us when the aircraft comes to stop, I set the parking brake. So, if you call stop by note the brakes on speed, call speed brakes up, speed brakes up, and thrusters normal arm indications. Call 100 knots, 80 knots, 6 knots, and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions, call in emissions, high call auto brake disarm, select code 40 when the parking brake has been set, and advise ATC of the reject. We then identify the failure, carry out the drills as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate, we read into the evacuation checklist. Time permitting, we'll pull the CBR-CB. If the call before we once keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet, except to cancel a warning, trace landing over the positive rate. 400 feet, verify heading, select carry out the memory items. At the MFA, buck up, retract flaps on schedule, flaps up no lights, select throttle, change max entity thrust, engage the automatics, normal checks, and then we'll decide on the further course of action. Let's see for our taxi then. Parking base, that's what we're looking for. We are parking up here on Charlie 7. So pushback is gonna be to the left-hand side. Where did I turn it now? Oh, that's wrong. That's what I want. Right, so, parking up here, push back with the nose to the right hand side, and then for the taxi. It's going to be runway 34, so we'll probably go via Tango, Papa, Echo, Victor or something like that. We'll take intersection Juliet figures, so that will hopefully spare us having to go all the way around here to the full length. For departure then, Dosal 1 departure, that is on a chart over here, 20-3 Bravo, effective 24th of March, transition altitude. So runway 34, Dosal 1, transition 10,000 versus 10,001. It's an RMP 1 departure for jets only, and caution treats in runway 34 departure area. Alright. Speed max 250 below 100, below 10,000 actually, that is in. Let's have a look at our routing then. Runway 34 is going to be a track of 340 to Rockdale, center right, track 014 towards Sally. And then 043 towards Dosal, then as cleared. So if we have a look at the chart over here, 340, 4 miles to Rockdale, it's showing 5 miles in here, that's fine. Right turn 014, 10 miles to Sally. And thereafter, where is it? 043, 28 miles inbound to Dosal. That's all going to be flown RNAV. We have an altitude restriction of 5,000 feet here, so let's put that one in as well.
We'll be ready to go, runway 34.
And we'll take a 220 knot restriction as well, just for a track keeping on that first turn. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions then?
Line up white, runway 34, velocity 137.
No questions? That's always very good.
Melbourne Tower,
Then let's go ahead with the interesting stuff and have a look at our performance tool once again. So for the weight and balance, I've just had our lid filled in automatically. The same goes for the cargo. Let's have a look at the fuel then. We've uploaded 5,800 kilos, and the rest is automatically filled out from SimBrief. So, we are then looking at a zero fuel weight in here.
Runway 34, taxi via Tango Alpha Juliet, Papa.
Of 54.6 versus 56.2, so that's quite a difference there, but that's gonna work out. So 54.8. Let's see, we were planned at 150 passengers, we have 132, missing 18 people. So that is a difference in the weight of 1.6. 18 people, 1.6, take 85 kilos-ish per passenger. Yep, that makes sense. So that's a gross weight of 60.5, and here we have 60.4. That's close enough, we can use that. Alright, so for the takeoff then, runway 34, it's gonna be Juliet figures we set on a dry runway, the wind 290 at 14, temperature 12,1003, and calculate. So, that's a 22k takeoff at 36 degrees. Lovely enough, our Qantas aircraft doesn't have 22k fitted, so we'll actually have to go rating 24k then. And that's 24k at 41 degrees. Alright, that we can do. That's 90.8 versus 90.0. That is because we don't have the bleed system pressurized yet. So let's start up the APU.
Jet Star 606, PDC reback.
So, flaps 5 takeoff, CG we have 18.3 actually,
Star 606,
slightly different than what the FMC
Dorsal
had here.
departure,
That's giving us
score
5.8
Golf 48.
tons takeoff speeds, 35, 35, 41. They're all within 1 knot, so we can use the FMC speeds. And 41 going up here as well. Trim 5.8 is what we have, and the MFRA 1434. Alright, so that's pretty much the setup complete here. Let's go ahead then and do our safety inspection checklist and before start checklist down to the line. Actually, we received the aircraft in transit state, so let's pretend that we have already flown a sector with it. So let's just do the transit before start checklist. Gear pins, 1 to 3 removed. Oxygen, test 100%. Yaw damper on. Fuel, we require 5.7, we have 5.8 with 4 pumps on. Cabin utility, IFE on. Fasten belts on. Window heat on. Aircon on press. Max auto bleeds on set. Press mode selector auto. Instruments cross check. Auto brakes RTO. Speed brake. Down attempt, park and brake set, step and cutoff, which is normal. Radius radar and transponder set and standby, radar and aileron trims 3 and 0, takeoff briefing discussed, PA complete, FMC, CDU. Let's hold there for a second, see how everything's processing. Fuel truck can go, we're fueled. Passengers are on board, so we can close the doors. The luggage is on board as well, so everything can go down here.
Echo cross runway 34, hold short Victor, Jazz 107.
APU is online to make the ground power go as well. Should be removing the jetway in a moment.
Not really, wherever you want us, Jazz 107.
Here they are. Very good, so let's continue with the checklist then. FMC CDU set, M1 and indicated airspeed boxer, automatic, reduced 24k, speeds 34, 35, 41 set, stop trim 5.8 set, performance weight and balance, sight and send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flight windows and cockpit door are locked, doors closed, passengers seated before start checklist complete down to the line. Right, let's quickly talk to the pushback guys then, and then we can go.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead, flight deck. We will be ready shortly. Roger.
Qantas 462, stand Charlie 7, request, push and start.
Push, stand up. India Papa, did you confirm your VFR to that?
It looks like we'll have to wait a short moment here.
Yeah, Papa, could you file the IFR and up to flight level 340? Take an IFR Patron?
Yes, IFR, sorry. Commission IFR.
Knows what's going on with the radio there. Always good if people know if they're flying VFR or IFR. But I guess you can't have it all right.
Dorsal flight plan reach, runway 34. Be the Dorsal 1 departure, climb back to 5,000, squawk 3665.
Hello there.
118.
Can we... Oh. No, he's not supposed to be on that gate. We are going to clip our winglet here. Can we go below it? No, probably not. Oh well, that's unfortunate.
107, continue taxi on
Alright, back to the flight deck, we'll pretend we've never seen it.
Alpha to the bay.
Echo and Alpha to the bay, Jazz 107. Thank you.
Juliet India Papa, thanks, just confirm it's the Dorsal 1 departure.
We'll just pretend we haven't seen that 747. So hopefully we should be going any moment. By the way, in case you're wondering, the Melbourne scenery I'm using here is a freeware that's available from flightsum.to. Looking straight at the terminal.
Push, sorry for the delay, what was your call sign again?
Qantas 462.
Qantas 462, push is approved.
Push approved. Qantas 462. Right, before start checks below the line. Action packs off. Anti-collision on. Parking brake set. Transponder rolled off. Before start checks complete.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead, flight deck. We are ready for pushback and engine start. Roger. Release the parking brakes, please. Park. Brakes released.
Thanks for that.
Pushing
And,
back.
your initial time will be 5,000.
Right, off block at 57.
5,000, get stuff 15.
That's everything.
The planned off block was 55, so that's 2 minutes. We can blame those on the
You are
delay
clear
on
behind
the
and you can
pushback
start your
clearance.
engines at your discretion.
Juliet India Papa, ready on point Juliet, runway 34.
Okay, so start engine number 2.
Juliet India Papa, runway 34, you're clear to take off. Contact departure airborne.
Triple takeoff, contact departure, when airborne, Juliet India Papa, see you later.
Station call and clearance, call sign only.
Qantas 768.
And 2, all pressure, and 1.
That was Qantas 768.
Correct.
This is confirming you filed a flight plan for me tonight.
Apologies, Qantas 768 plan should be with you now.
Pushback complete. Set parking brakes, please. Parking brakes set. Roger. Okay, the tow bar is disconnected and the equipment is clear. We'll see you on the left side with me.
Let's start a cutout. Monitor 2, starting 1.
Thanks. Have a good flight. See you later.
Departure, climb over to 5,000, squawk 420.
And 2.
3. Departures on 11.
All pressure.
49
And 1.
Qantas 768, clear Sydney via the Dorsal 1. Departure, runway 34, climb by the SID 5,000, squawk 4203, and contact departure 118.9.
Qantas 768.
QT 1524 at stand Bravo 24, request push and start.
Start a cutout. Monitor 1.
Yeah, 1524.
Number 1 is stable.
Way to Qantas traffic, also push is through.
Well, that should have gone back to
Okay,
auto,
push
so...
clear of the other traffic.
As said, recording this with the pre-release version, so
1524, thanks.
might be a couple of issues here and then, but
Lufthansa 77.
just be aware that the team's aware of those. So, flight controls. And the rudders. So, let's do the before taxi checkers then. Generators on, APU off, start system continues, profit on, NTIs off, air conditioning, PAX auto bleeds on, isolation off, auto, flaps, 5 required, 5 selected, and the green light, step trim, 5.8, set, start leavers idle attempt, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete.
Number 252 on the tower, reach 5.
Qantas 462, recross taxi.
Qantas 462, taxi via Tango Alpha, Juliet or Kilo holding point, runway 34.
Tango Alpha and then Juliet or Kilo holding point runway 34. Qantas 462. So let's have a look where we are going then. So Tango is that inner taxiway.
221 Melbourne Tower, good evening.
Left on Alpha. Then we can choose between Juliet or Kilo. Perfect. So we'll basically stay on the inner into Alpha. Alright.
Departure Bridge 118.90.
So, config.
22 Sydney, Delta Alpha, route runway 34, Delta 1 departure, climb up to 5,000, squawk 43,
Clear on the left.
16,
Clear on the right.
118, 1 island, Qantas 221.
Qantas 221.
Quite an uneven ground we have over here.
Movement tower, Pendular 402, request direct back PDC.
Blocked.
So there was 2 in there, didn't hear the vehicle sign, sorry.
So we should be going left then, I guess.
Melbourne Tower, Jetstar 527 at 4,000 to 2,500.
That's
Jetstar 5.
quite a bit of lines over here.
7, Melbourne Tower, good evening.
A little bit confusing.
27, you please land.
Clear land, 127, Jetstar 527.
What station calling tower?
Movement tower, Pendular 402, request direct back PDC.
But that sign confirms we're correct on Tango over here. That's very good.
Jetstar 530, cleared by Sydney to left by Boeing. Land route Delta 1 departure, runway 34, walking 6026 and climbing to 5,000 for short departure.
Jetstar 530, roger, thanks. Other station calling PDC, read back, just confirm your call sign for me.
I'm Pendular 402.
Right, so on Tango, and now it's going straight ahead, left into Alpha.
402, would you be filed under Qantas 402?
So taxiing on the apron right now, maximum speed is going to be 15 knots. And actually, can't really hurt to keep it slightly below that, right?
So just check what you have filed and logged in as. Thanks.
TRQ Jet 1524 received Victor ready for taxi and can take Juliet.
Right, Sun, Alpha is next left.
24, roger, taxi Tango, Alpha, Juliet, runway 34.
Tango Alpha Juliet holding points 34, QJet 1524.
I'm open tower, Alpha flight, Pendular 402.
Qantas 402, go ahead, we're back.
Well, those are 1 departure, cross.
Alright, so let's do the before takeoff checklists down to the line. Contact check, flaps, 5 green light, spectrum 5.8 set, and then it's going to be takeoff briefing. Lofty takeoff, runway 34, flaps 5, noise abatement 2, and we have pax auto bleeds on, anti-ice off, takeoff speeds 134, 135, 141. The SID is going straight out with a right turn out. When airborne, we are going to contact departure. Your SID will go straight out and climb to an altitude of 4,000 feet as we set, and that's basically the briefing complete. Any questions?
Let us send you add departure.
Right, then holding at cabin.
4354 and departures at 118.900.
So basically at the end of the apron we can go right on Juliet, and then we'll depart from there.
That's 1-5. Push is approved.
City car, good evening, Qantas 768, request start. I'm at Delta 9 gate with information vector.
Ready, push start approved, it's up 1-5.
What was the station in there calling push?
Right, so Juliet is the next right then, and we are ready for the departure.
Qantas 768, push is approved. Just give way to Jet taxiing down Tango.
Give way to Jet taxiing Tango, Qantas 768.
Qantas 462 at Juliet, ready for departure.
Qantas 462, runway 34, line up away.
Runway 34, line up away, Qantas 462.
Qantas Tower, good evening, Qantas 7554 heavy with...
Oh, that looks like they have the pulsing landing lights. That's nice.
Qantas 7...
First time I'm flying these, actually.
Yeah,
so before takeoff check is below the line then.
That's
MCP, set, transponder, TARA, strobe lights on, holding at landing lines. So the 800 is quite a bit longer than the shorter versions, the 700 and 600. So let's actually a slightly longer overshoot here.
5,000, score 3623, and we'll get the departure from 132 to 0.
Departure frequency 118.9er.
Correction.
Open tower, kind of 402 ready for pushback.
Right, there's someone landing on the parallel runway. There he comes.
If you're on the ground and you're not Lufthansa 77 route or QJet 1524, contact your ground 121.7.
So there he comes. Flare, 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 flare. Come on, you gotta touch down eventually, mate. There he is. Well?
Well, it's 462, runway 34, you're clear to take off.
462, runway 34, clear takeoff. Okay, landing lights on before takeoff check is complete. Timing. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. Quite a bit of crosswind it seems. I need quite a bit of rudder to keep it on the center line. Check. Yep, there we go.
Taxi by Echo, short runway 34, just above 27.
So, be careful with your rotations in the 800s. You're up. Tail strike is too much a risk in this plane. Oh no. Command A, fuck up. 118.9, 462, g'day. So, flop on. Departure low, Qantas 462, passing 2,600, 5,000 on the Dozel 1 departure. Flips up, speed check. 119. Departure low, Qantas 462, passing 3,200, 5,000, Dozel 1 departure.
Qantas 462 departures, g'day, identified, continue climb via set, flight level 240.
Climb by set level 240, Qantas 462. Set, 240 checked. Ultimate event. And we have the flaps up, no lights. VNAV, set standard. Passing 45.240 after takeoff checklist. We can release the cabin chute. So, air conditioner pressurization is showing me 2.1 and set. Altimeters. Standard 57.240. After tail check is complete, and we can delete the 220 restriction.
That's 523 approach today, continue 10 flights down.
And full climb thrust, please.
Just 523, cancel speed restrictions below 10. Cancel stages, 523. Qantas 462, cancel speed below 10,000, resume our navigation direct to ACL, standard route.
Qantas 462, cancel speed below 10,000, direct to Oslo plant route. Right, so speed restrictions out, direct to... Also execute, LNAV available, LNAV.
Delta 523, descend to 2,500.
Yes, 500, Delta 523.
Altimeters, passing 100, coming 240, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, the lights are going off. APU is off, air conditioning and pressurization. That's 4.0, climbing and set. Fast modes, auto, recall, checked and monitoring 1 to 1.5. That's the 10 checks complete. On 2375, Qantas 462s, yeah.
Yes, Delta 23, just be up.
So, 2375.
Do you want to say for you, contact center 129.8, good day.
Center 129.8, contact 7351, make sure you see me.
Melbourne Center, good day.
Melbourne Center, New Zealand, 129.8.
Got 129, good day. Melbourne Center, Squawk 1362.
Squawk 1362, New Zealand, 129.8.
Other station in there, Sergeant? Melbourne Center, good day. Just 28 with you, flight level 380.
This is our partner to the flight level 254.
Just 28, thanks.
Just waiting on my opportunity to check in here.
593, descent flight level 160.
Descent flight level 162, this is our partner.
Alban G'day, Qantas 462, passing 162.240 in Mount Durso.
Qantas 462, Center, good day. Climb to flight level 370.
Climb flight level 370, Qantas 462.
Got 129, the score was 1362.
370 checked, and we have 370 once, twice, and let's see, 3 times. Be very careful when you're flying the 800. Your optimum altitudes can go very low very quickly. So that's something you really need to be aware of. If you're taking an 800 fully loaded out for a 4-hour flight, you can easily end up at level 350 or below. However, in this case, it says optimum 390. Let's see how far the top of descent is out. 233. So, once this thing has actually decided which speed it wants to fly, you know what, we're just gonna convince it here. You want to fly 287, my friends.
Runway 27, maintain flight level 38.
However, that may be a good opportunity to have a look into the flight plan as well and see if there's anything in the operational impact section. So this one says 2000 above is not available, but obviously we are almost 2 tons lighter than originally planned, so let's have a look into the wind data block here. So looking at the waypoint, it's pretty much exactly the same wind, well maybe 2 knots more even at 390 than at 370. So, taking that into account that the wind is almost the same, maybe even a knot better, I would say we can definitely request a climb to flight level 390.
Descent flight level 130.
Descent flight level 130, descent flight 93.
Qantas 462, request climb flight level 390 for cruise.
462, climb to flight level 390.
Qantas 462, climb flight level 390. Set. So 390 checked. Alternate event. Let's see if we can close the speed window again. Yep. So now we'll put 390 up here once, twice, and 3 times, monitoring 1 to 1.5.
When ready, descend to flight level 250.
So these step climbs in the 737-800 are something that saves maybe 30 kilograms of fuel. However, we have to take into account that we have tens of thousands of airplanes flying around every day, even hundreds of thousands. So if everybody saves 30 kilos of fuel on a flight, then that is quite a lot of tons of fuel saved. And for us as pilots, it doesn't really make that much of a difference altogether over here. But the big difference that we are going to see is in the airline's budget at the end, if every flight is doing it. So for us, 30 kilos is like, well, that's the kilo costs approximately €1 or a US dollar. So that's €30 saved. Now, if you're flying a low-cost carrier, that's 3 tickets. Fair enough. But if you're flying a decent airline, then it's not all that much. But nonetheless, you know, if 10,000 flights are doing it every day, then all of a sudden you have €300,000 a day. Apart from that, according to my airline's SOP, in climb until the top of climb, we're still supposed to maintain sterile cockpits, so not a lot to talk about here really. But I can tell you it can get boring pretty quickly. Anyway, one thing that we should have an eye on is our rate of climb here. You're going to notice, since we're in a 737-800, the aircraft is quite a bit heavier, so the rate of climb isn't all that good as in the smaller Boeings, especially if you've flown the 600 before. So a couple of days ago I did those 4 sectors in 4 hours live stream on the Canary Islands, and we have takeoff rates in the region of approximately 50 tons. Now on this flight we have a zero fuel weight of 55 tons and a takeoff weight of 60. So let's talk a little bit about the Boeing 737-800 and its differences from the previous versions then. I'm going to make some separate videos in a whole series in which I'm going to show those differences off, but let's go for it for now and talk about some of the differences. So you've seen me rotating very carefully initially there, and that's because the tail strike angle is really low. So approximately 10 degrees is where you can encounter your tail strike already, especially if you are over rotating and can go even faster. So you have to be very careful with the initial rotation. However, thereafter you saw my rotation became pretty quickly, and let me explain the reason why that happened. The 737-800 is so long that if you're looking at it from the side, and now, right now we're sitting here at about 5 degrees of pitch, imagine a little bit more. 7.5 to be exact, then you'll see that the elevators are going to be exactly on the same line horizontally as the wings. And that means the elevators are getting into the turbulence of the wings and into the ground effect. And what that is causing is that your elevators are going to lose effectiveness at 7.5 degrees of pitch in the rotation. So you'll have to increase your back pressure on the control column then, in order to keep the nose rotating at the same rate as it used to before. At 10 degrees of pitch you're going to get out of this area again. The area itself is called the elevator deadband, by the way. So at 10 degrees of pitch you're getting out of that area, and when you're getting out of it you get the original elevator effectiveness back. So the challenge now is to achieve a constant rotation rate, and to do that you need to pull back on the control column until the nose starts coming up, rotate at 2 to 2.5 degrees per second until 7.5, then you need to increase back pressure on the control column until passing 10 degrees, and then you immediately need to relax the control column again to the position that you had before, so that you continue your normal rotation all the way to 15 degrees. So that's how it works in the 737-800, and depending on the hardware that you are using, it may not be all that easy, and it's something that you really have to practice. Now, my last 737 flight I've done was in the real one. Prior to that I've flown the 600 a lot on the live stream, so it was not really surprising that with flight simulation hardware feeling different than the real airplane, as always of course, since you just don't have the force feedback. it just felt, well, a little bit different. That's why you see me messing that up a little bit. I pulled a bit too much at 7.5, that's why the nose started getting up quicker, and when the elevator left the deadband at 10 degrees, then of course the nose got up really fast. Now luckily it didn't result in a tail strike, otherwise we would have heard that. And I do have to say, by the way, I find it pretty amazing that PMDGs actually simulated the deadband. So that's really nice. You are going to notice, if you have the exact correct back pressure on the control column, for the nose to rotate at 2.5 degrees a second before the deadband, then you will notice that by the time you reach the deadband, the nose is just going to stay where it is, where it is. So it's just going to stay at 7.5, 8 degrees and not going to come up further. If you don't put it extra, the nose is just going to stay there. Now some people are saying that this is actually sort of a safety feature from Boeing in order to prevent tail strikes, and that argument most certainly has its that argument most certainly is there for a reason, even though it's definitely not an intended feature by Boeing, but you can most certainly see it like it.
India, prepared. You've descended a bit early there, expect further than 10 miles.
So let's have a look at some of the other differences in the 737-800 then. One thing you are going to notice down here is the flap speed placards are different than they are in the smaller 737-600 and 700. So we have slightly increased speeds up here. And note that the placards can change depending if you have the short field kit installed or not on your aircraft. Another difference we have is that we have 4 overwing exits now, 2 on each side, as we can see up here, and that is required because with 6 exits in total, so 2 overwing exits, 2 front doors, 2 aft doors, as we have on the 700 and on the 600, we are only allowed a maximum number of passengers of 149. So in order for the total passenger amount to be extended to the 189 seats that the aircraft can have in total, it was necessary to install an additional 2 overwing exits to ensure that an evacuation is still possible within the required 90 seconds. Something else we talked briefly about already in our walk-around is the tail skid that the 737-800 has fitted. And as I told you, if you were to tail strike the aircraft, this is the point where the aircraft would make contact. So if the tail strike happens over here, you would see the scratch marks. And most definitely the plane is going into maintenance after that and you are not flying it anywhere.
Got a 480, got a 475. Report your estimate for Lizzie, please.
So, talking about another difference then, obviously we have the air conditioning system. Now, I'm going to cover that one in detail in another video, but here's the important stuff you should know. We have a trim air system added to the 737-800, and what the trim air system basically does is to take hot bleed air from the engine bleeds, but before the bleed air goes into the packs, then the packs are cooling the air down, and afterwards hot bleed air is added again to make the temperature control a little bit more precise. So if you switch off the trim air, then temperature control is not going to be all that precise. Another difference here is that in the 737-800 you have 2 temperature zones in the cabin, so you have a forward cabin and an aft cabin zone, and those can be controlled separate from one another. So what's happening in the 737-800 is Boeing recommends you, even though it says auto up here, the auto system really is like more of anything and nothing, more being nothing than anything. So if you put this thing to the A on auto or to the O on auto, the difference in the cabin can easily be 5 degrees centigrade. Now, the temperature sensors we have up here are not all that accurate, so what Boeing recommends you to do is basically set the front cabin, that's the flight deck, to the A, the forward cabin to the U, and the aft cabin to the T. And for more details, have a look at my separate video, because I am going to cover it all in there. So let's see, we're approaching our original top of climb at flight level 370.
just that 2
So that may actually be a very good opportunity to have a look at the fuel and just do a quick fuel check. So, as we can see in the operational flight plan, top of climb, plan for level 370 after 19 minutes with 4 tons of fuel on board. So, we're just passing it at 19 minutes, and we're supposed to have 4 tons. We're running here with 4,110, so saved a tiny bit of fuel, but keep in mind that we had rounded it up here as well, so 50 kilos or 46 kilos comes from simply loading up more fuel than we had planned. Then we probably saved a little bit on taxi as well, since we had taxi fuel for 15 minutes and we weren't supposed, and we didn't actually taxi for 15 minutes. So that's where the difference comes from. What we can do as well, of course, is check the fuel flow. We've used 1,710 kilos here. And according to the plan, we should have used 1,749. So that's 39 kilo difference. That's probably exactly what we saved during the taxi. So fuel values here, totally spot on.
1524, star clearance available.
QJ 1524.
QJ 1524, clear poly at Alpha arrival, runway 35, climb to flight level 310.
One to go.
Poly 8 Alpha.
Now, you'll notice a lot that in the 800, when you're getting up to the really high altitudes, your rate of climb is going to drop. So, something like 800 feet a minute up here at these levels can be totally normal. 1,000 feet a minute as well. But especially in the heavy 737, you have to expect to be losing that rate of climb when you're coming up to the high levels. Nonetheless, the thing still climbs quite a bit better than an Airbus, so I'm always happy about that when I hear Airbus pilots saying, "Oh, I've reached the cruise level after half an hour." I'm like, what did you do? Shut down an engine?
Wind ready, descent, flight level 25, sorry.
Wind ready, descent, flight level 25, sorry, flight level 439.
Julie, India Papa, descend to 9,000, QNH Canberra 1007.
Descend 9,000, QNH 1007, Julie Papa.
You can see the last couple of feet are really hard for the aircraft to get up here. And do note that we are nonetheless still 1,000 feet below our optimum altitude here. So note here, optimum level 400, maximum 404. So be very careful when you're looking at your optimum and maximum flight levels. So in the smaller 737s, it is quite possible to climb above the optimum level, even though it's not even though I do not really recommend it. But note how in the 800 now, we didn't have too much performance left, and we're just about 1,000 feet below the optimum. Now imagine if you wanted to climb above the optimum, that's really going to cause you some problems there. But here we are. Made it to cruise, level 390. Just about 100 and a bit miles out from the top of descent, so we can already start having a look at our destination, Sydney. As said, last time I've flown there has been a long time ago. But let's start seeing if we can get an HOTAS. Yes, we do. Very good.
Sydney Terminal Information Charlie. Expect visibility approach. Runway 34 left and right for arrivals and departures. Independent parallel aft and departures in progress. Wind 330 degrees, 12 knots. Cab OK. Temperature 15. QNH 1007. On first contact with Sydney ground or approach, notify receipt of information Charlie.
Velocity 872, wind ready, descent, flight level 25.
Alright, so we have information Charlie, as we just heard it. We can expect the visual approach to runway either 34 left or 34 right, and the QNH is 1007. Let's start doing a little bit of a setup then. We want to have 250 knots below 10,000. Forecast page, we can simply uplink that. Let's see, the transition level is probably fixed then, but let's find out. Yeah, transition level 110, that's why it's not been on the HOTAS. QNH 1007.
South 530, just requesting the copy for a couple of minutes. Just 530 approach.
Right, we're gonna plan 3-4 left for now. Let's see what we're actually gonna get. Could really be either runway. So something like this. Now comes the interesting part. We can expect a visual approach ASAP, so let's quickly build up something that is going to help us get in. You will notice that in the 737-800 especially, it is the most slippery of the complete 737 series. So getting that airplane in really isn't all that easy. So you do want to do some very good preparation. The arrival we're expecting here actually is a very good example. So we might at any point just get a shortcut from anywhere over here onto the final approach, which is going to significantly cut short the amount of miles that we have to fly. So we want to plan that one ahead. And I would say what we can come up with is something like a nasho to a sausage. Is that waypoint called sausage? I like it. I like it. So, but let's plan something like rivet to a nasho and then see where that's gonna get us. So then the plane wants to cross rivet at level 119. Okay, compared to level 145 previously. So let's put level 119 in here. And that's already putting us like 2,500 feet lower on the path. And you can believe me, losing 2,500 feet in 737-800 isn't quite all that easy. So you really want to do this planning ahead. Also, let's take one more shortcut into consideration. First of all, let's have a look at a couple of the approach charts here. Because if they're running visual approaches, they might have a chart about them as well. But actually, no, I cannot see any particular charts here, so probably not then. Anyway, let's take the ILS chart for both runways, because we might be getting those shortcuts at any moment. Complex taxi to be expected, that's definitely going to be one of the threats for the arrival. And then parking base domestic, mostly on the right hand side there. Zero quick. Yeah, I'm guessing 3-4 left for landing. But I don't really know, could be 3-4 right as well, I don't know. Let's request 3-4 left anyway if they don't give it to us straight away. And if we don't get it, well, then we'll just have to replan a little bit. So, for the approach itself then, we'll prepare the ILS approach in any case, because we are going to use the ILS to back the visual approach up. So, if we come in visually, then let's see, we could always go to Atrat and take it from there. So, let's see if we go from Durak to Atrat, what's that gonna give us?
What's the activity?
Let's Durak at 4.2 and 200 knots. Okay, let's put that in. Now the aircraft's probably gonna complain that it's that it'll have a steep descent after this, because it has to lose 1,800 feet and a couple of knots. But you can see that VNAV is actually smart here, so it's recognized that it has to reduce the speed before the 6,000 restriction in order to be able to make this. So VNAV isn't quite all that dumb, is it? Alright, then let's quickly set up the rest for the ILS here. (335) 10.1. Right, so for the heads-up display, what can we actually put in there? Field elevation, that's 14 feet for the runway. in.
Stations in Melbourne, information extra now available. Changes the wind 300 degrees 9 knots.
And the runway length, come on, is 12,999 feet. Alright, so 3-degree glide slope, I believe that matches the chart. Yes, it does, 3 degrees. Alright, and we're looking for a minimum of 220 feet.
What is 475, leading flight level 380.
475, thanks, descend flight level 130, speed 300 knots will greater to 10,000.
This flight level 180, speed 300 knots greater 100,000.
475, slightly lower, descend at flight level 130.
Alright, so are you ready for the approach briefing then? Threats for the arrival. Well, due to the visual approach, things might get a little bit fuzzy, but we've covered for that by pre-calculating all those shortcuts, so the VNAV is basically set up to make those shortcuts in case we get them. Then let's have a look at the FMC again.
124 star clearance, Lysian Alpha arrival, runway 27, maintain flight level 38.
So we have 250 knots below 10,000 feet, the forecast page is filled out. Fixed rings runway 34 left, 10 miles and 4 miles, and for the arrival. 129.8, Qantas 462, good day. Hello, Qantas 462, flight level 390 in Mount Cullen.
Qantas 462, Centre, g'day, cleared rivet 3 arrival, runway 34 left, maintain flight level 390.
Rivet 3 arrival, runway 34 left, maintain level 390, Qantas 462. Right, that's very good, now at least we know the runway, so the threat of a last-minute runway change is out. Perfect, then. Where did we leave off? With the star, so let's have a look. Rivet 3 arrival is on chart 10-2 Echo effective 21st of May 2020. It's going from Rivet to Bigham. That's 049, 13 miles, Bigham above 8,000. From there on, same track 10 miles to Tammy below 9,000. And same track 10 miles to Boogie above 6,000. That's what we have in here as well. Then the right turn 121, 5 miles to Dudok. And then 155, 7 miles to Nasho, and thereafter we can expect radar vectors to final. There are some approach speeds by ATC, that's 10 miles from touchdown, between 185 and 160, 5 miles, 160 or 150. So we'll take it as at the flap 5 speed for that. And as you are going to notice, the flap speeds are quite a bit higher than in the smaller 737. From there on, it's going to be the visual approach 3 for left, but we'll back it up with the ILS. So we have the ILS chart over here, 3 for left, chart 11.5 for February 2022. Frequencies 110.1, those are set active, not 1, not 2. Courses 335 are actually not quite visible here. Yeah, they are, 335, 335. Down to a minimum of 220 feet.
Jetstar 5.
So, the approach itself has sausage at 3,000 feet. That's just about 10 miles out, so let's give ourselves a speed restriction 180 knots for that.
Sorry, I just stepped on you there.
180 knots on sausage.
660 just looking to step away for about 130.
And from there we're going on to Atchard, and let's change the Atchard speed 165. That's usually fitting quite good with the flap 5 speed, so let's put that one in as well. Right, then it's going to be a 3-degree glide slope going all the way down to the minimum 220 feet. In case we have to go around, it's going to be track 335. At mandatory 500 feet, turn left to track 320 degrees, climb 3000 as directed. So for the FMC over here, we have 335, 500 and 320, 3000.
New Zealand 227, decent 9,000 feet.
For the visual approach part of things, we have already covered for direct, for a couple of directs, going either rivets to Natural Sausage, or thereafter from Dudok to Atchard. So that should pretty much cover us for those. So reset MCP altitude, so let's quickly ask for our descent before we continue with the briefing.
340, top rate 22.
Qantas 462, request descent.
Qantas 462, descent to 10,000 feet, QNH 1007.
Qantas 462, descent 10,000, QNH 1007. Set, 10,000 check.
Center back in 2 minutes.
And altimeter band, down we go. Set altimeter 1007. Passing 387, descent 10,000, no flags, stand by. Stand by. Set. Right, so continue on with the briefing then. For the visual approach, we are going to use LNAV VNAV as far as possible down to intercept the ILS. Thereafter, it's going to be approach mode. We'll configure to have flaps 5 by 10 miles and thereafter normal configuration sequence at 4 miles. However, at 4 miles, we have to have the gear down. So if we are doing anything on a turning approach, then we'll extend the landing gear at 5 miles. Otherwise, 4 miles is fine if we're on the extended center line already. Yeah, we gotta keep the runway inside at all times, but the weather most certainly suggests that at CAV OK, and in case we do lose it for any reason, then we can at all times just go ahead and go around and join the ILS approach. In case we're already established on the ILS, if we lose the runway, then we'll just continue. Of course, the authority has not heard us say that. MSA 2,700 all around, landing gate is going to be 500 feet, and for the minimums we'll set the ILS minimums even though it's a visual approach, but that is fine for us. Okay, so that's pretty much this thing complete. Let's have a look at the diversion then. We have a diversion fuel of 2.6 tons, we'll land at 3.1, that gives us 500 kilos extra. You'll need around about 200 kilos per 5 minutes, so that's roughly 10 minutes, a little bit more, that we have available. We're burning 500 kilos, which makes a landing weight of 57.7. Typical landing weight for the 800, by the way. We're going to do flap 30 landing and use auto brakes 3. Now let's quickly put that into the virtual performance tool to calculate our landing distances here. So here you are, landing en route. Sydney, runway 34 left, 2.5. It's a dry runway, the wind is 330 at 12, temperature 15,1007. We're planned with a landing weight of 57.4. We are here with 57.7, so we saved around about 300 kilos. Now that makes sense since our gross weight is simply almost 2 tons lighter. So saving a little bit of fuel absolutely makes sense on this one. It's going to be the last flight of the day for the aircraft, so reverses no credits. Calculate. So we're looking at landing distance, auto brakes 2, 2,300 meters. Well, let's have a look at what that's going to look like on the approach, on the airport charts. We're going to park somewhere over here at the domestic. And yeah, we'll probably have to vacate over here, Bravo 8 and then Bravo to cross the runway. So that looks to me like it's about 2,000 meters down the runway. So let's use auto brakes 2 and then we'll slightly have to over brake in order to make the exits. And that's going to reduce our minimum runway occupancy time quite significantly. So let's go ahead and do that. Flap 30, auto brakes 2. And that's a brake cooling time, 27 minutes with idle reverse. That's totally fine since the airplane's going nowhere anyway. Actually, let's redo this calculation with the correct landing weight in. That makes quite a bit more sense then. But it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Yeah, 2,344, 27 minutes brake cooling. That's fine. We can do that. Right everyone, welcome back. I just had to cut the video for a short time because somebody rang my doorbell several times, so I just had to go there and check what was up. It's too bad if you can't just lock the flight deck door all the time in real life as well, right? But we're back, so the situation has changed a slight bit here due to some traffic, of course, passing by in the meantime. We now cleared a flight level 250 with an aircraft in front of us, and the rest of it is pretty much unchanged. So, let's read the descent checklist then. Pressurization, land alt, we can make that 0. Anti-ice off, approach briefing fuel is discussed, IS and outbox are checked and set. That's the descent checklist complete. Approaching a couple clouds, let's put the engine anti-ice on. We've got the automatic start switches over here, so we don't need to put them in continuous, but we can simply put the engine anti-ice on. Tie.
Jetstar 521. New score.
So once again, on the descent, we are supposed to maintain sterile cockpit all the way down until we have shut the engines down at landing. So I'm not going to do too many discussions here, but there is something that I just want to talk about. That's because we just have 1,000 to go here, so we'll go vertical speed now. And since we're now basically getting high on profile, we have to do something about it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just reducing our speed a slight bit over here, so that we can just dive down when we get the full descent clearance.
Tracking direct to O'Dale.
Charlie Alpha Lima, roger, thanks.
Center, 337 Heavy with you at a top of the train.
So energy management in the 737 is really the most important thing. In the 737-800 that's even getting more of a problem than it did in the shorter previous versions, like the 737 600 or 700, because
462, descent 10,000 to an H1008.
462, descent 10,000 to an H1008. Right, that's set, 10,000 checked, back to VNAV, set altimeter 1008. We're passing 2460, sending 10,000 of flags 10%. So now you can see, since we had previously lost a little bit of airspeed there due to the shallower descent, we can see that we can now basically dive back down into our speed, so we are catching up with the path again. But you are going to notice, since number one, we didn't have the engines in idle all the time, so we had added a little bit of thrust. We got some additional energy, and also, even in case we did not do that, due to the slower speed, your airplane would have less drag, and therefore it would descend, or therefore it would not lose as much energy. So, you can see we're now ending up slightly above the profile, and to correct for that, you could simply increase the VNAV speed, so we have 284 in there right now. Let's put 290 in, see what's gonna happen.
And maintain 140.
You can see, recalculating the VNAV now, back on profile. So 290 was probably even a little bit much. Let's do something like 287 or so. Now that's really taking it very, very, let's say that's really taking it to a level, adjusting by like a couple of knots only, but then again, at higher airspeed we are not going to need, or at a higher airspeed we have higher induced drag, therefore the airplane is going to descend on a steeper path, so slightly varying the airspeed is going to easily put you back into a profile. So keep in mind, we are flying a Qantas here, Costin X40, according to a database that I found online on domestic flights. So we are by default flying at a rather high speed already of 280 knots in the descent. Compared to that, especially in the low costers, you are usually flying something around 250 knots-ish for the descent. So we can see it here now. Even at 280 we still have some room to slightly increase the speed. That is always the first thing you should do if you're high on profile, provided that you are not too close to a deceleration segment. So if you look at the 250 below 10,000 restriction over here, let's say we were down low at, for example, 13,000, then if we would increase our speed over there, the beginning of the deceleration would just come closer, and therefore it would not have any great effect anymore. However, there is one situation which increasing the speed can always help. That's when you're using the speed brake, because the speed is in the drag formula squared, so the effect of the speed brake is going to strongly increase when you are actually increasing your aircraft speed.
Lima, when ready, descent 9,000 feet, QNH 1008.
And 9,000 feet for
So let's turn on the
Austin
seatbelt signs already.
1008.
Charlie Alpha, I'm just confirming that's when ready, at your discretion.
Acknowledge Charlie Alpha Lima, thank you.
Alright, so let's dim that.
462. Cancel the speed requirement of 280 knots, resume your profile speed, contact approach 124.4.
Qantas 280, correction 462, cancel the speed, and we'll remain at 280 anyway, and 124.4, bye bye.
John 3581, Sydney approach.
3581.
Right, while they are talking, let's take the chance, light up the plane a little bit.
129.8, see ya.
Sydney approach hello, Qantas 462, descending 10,000 in to rivet.
768, descend 6,000. Descend 6,000 for Qantas 768. Sort of 462 Sydney approach, g'day, runway 34 left, expect independent visual approach. And Sydney information Foxtrot, QNH1008.
QNH1008 will check information Foxtrot, expect the independent visual runway 34 left, Qantas 462. Alright, so 34 left it's going to be, that's very good.
Qantas 2,
so we're below the clouds, any eyes off.
Sydney.
And what I just want to say is the head-up display there. The light model in Microsoft Flight Simulator is a little bit screwed, which is why the automatic controller cannot really adjust the HUD brightness properly. So that's why I've just put it in manual and adjusted the brightness manually. Makes things a little bit easier. Also, we can dim our displays a little bit. Like this. Alright. So, as I said earlier on, if we were anywhere close to the deceleration segment, like now, let's have a look at what's going to happen to the VNAV path if I would increase the speed to 320 knots right now. You can see it's recalculated, we're actually below the path, because we would need so much mileage now to slow the airplane down, then it just wouldn't make any sense anymore. So let's just go back towards Econ. We should be more or less on path again. Recalculating, and here we are. So that's what I meant. When you're high on path but close to a deceleration segment, for example at level 100, then increasing your airspeed is not going to do any good anymore. In fact, quite the opposite. The only reason why you might want to do it is because you would have... Qantas 462, descent by star to 8,000. Right, so that's 8,000 checked. Normal speed, Qantas 462. Right, so we're going to keep the 280. So, yeah, that's 8,000 in.
Sydney approach, g'day, Jetstar 505 with you, passing through 1,500 from 5,000.
Jetstar 505, Sydney approach, g'day, identified, climb flight level 280.
Climb flight level 280, Jetstar 505.
So yeah, let's help the plane a little bit on the way down, because we had still prepared for our for the shortcut. Let's see if we're gonna get anything like it. For now, I'll just make the airplane descent myself here in a level change, because VNAV really only is as good as the data you're feeding into it, and I don't really know how long or short the approach is going to be. So in this case, I'm just doing it manually, because I think I can estimate manually a little bit better what to do than the system can automatically. Of course, that's only because I'm not able to tell the system exactly where I have to be at what time. So we've done all the calculations beforehand, and the VNAV is now trying to get the airplane down to 4,200 feet by dudok, while taking into account all the other restrictions. But I actually have a feeling that we are not going to get the very short routing from dudok to approach, so I'll just keep it a little bit above the profile, and this way around we just have to find our way down now.
251 Sydney approach today, identified climb flight level 280.
Flight level 280 over Chronos 251.
Oh, 10 checks then. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, the lights are going on, angle of bank is 25, air conditioner pressurization 3.8 descending, and set fast modes on. Recall check 21.5 is deselected. Cabin crew 10 minutes to landing. 10 checks complete.
768, contact Sydney Director 1726. Over to the Director for contact 768.
I can pre-select that frequency already.
Today, velocity 269, 3000, climbing 5000.
On to 6.1.
Sydney approach today, identified climb flight level 280.
280, velocity 269.
So that's one to go. Let's try to aim for a continuous descent approach as good as possible.
Velocity 849, Sydney approach. G'day, runway 34 left, expecting dependent to approach. Descend by start 8000.
If something tells me we are not going to get the shortcut over here, so let's take that restriction out. Now, of course, we'll be pretty low on the VNAV profile. 462 descent 6000. Set. So let's put it back into VNAV. Then it's just going to catch its profile automatically with 1,000 feet a minute descent rate. So we are still waiting for the items of the ILS to come in at this point. Right now, should be receiving them already. But let's see what's going to happen. I know for certain that this is not a problem with the 737, so it actually is the scenery that's not broadcasting the ILS yet. But we'll see about that. It's probably going to come a little bit later on. We're actually losing the glide to below here because 1,000 feet a minute is quite a steep descent for a 737. Let's go 500 once again. Right, there's our airport right in front over there, and we have one to go.
Contact Melbourne Centre 129,
Melbourne Centre 129, this way, Qantas 251, thanks for your service, good evening.
And stand by, that was Qantas 21, Melbourne Centre 129 and decimal 8.
Yes, 129 and decimal 8, Qantas 21.
There's two people responding, it's Qantas 21, there's a Qantas 251 and a Qantas 21 1, 129.8, 1.
Qantas 21, going to 129.8.
Qantas 251, Lima headed.
Okay, the way it's keeping us high definitely suggests that we're going to fly the full routing, so we'll just have to live with it. Approaching the path once again, so VNAV wants to get us down low. So, since we don't have further descent clearance yet, in order to lose more energy, we can once again just start reducing our airspeed. So we'll take it down to 220 knots already. Maybe give it even a little bit less rate of descent. So we'll take it down to 220 knots, so we could then at any point take the drag out if we have to. By the way, I can see we've just got the ILS items, so let's start with the approach checklist and the thrust. So for the frequencies we need 110.1, that's active on both sides. The rings are around runway 34 left, 10 miles and 4 miles. Addons, India, Sierra November on both sides. Standby instruments are set and the course is 335. That's our first complete. Approach checklist then. Altimeters and instruments, cross-checked, approach rates, checked and set. Approach checklist complete. We'll take it down to the upspeed. 126.1, Qantas 462 tonight.
Qantas 768, are you visual with 3-4 left? Qantas 768, yeah, I'm visual, just joining the localizer. Qantas 768, thanks. Cleared independent visual approach, runway 34 left. Independent visual approach, for Qantas 768, visual left.
Correct, low, Qantas 462.
United 11.
No?
United 11, Tower 1205.
1205.
Let's give it a while. After Nasha, we continue present heading.
462, direct to G'day, descent to 3000, turn left heading 060.
Qantas 462, descent 3000, left 060. Okay, so that's a heading of 060 and 3000 feet, level change. So let's see, we'll put the FMC direct to sausage. Let's see what VNAV is going to say then. Of course, always important to tell at the speed that you're actually flying, otherwise you're not going to get a decent VNAV output. So something like this. Well, it's telling us we're a little bit high, but the VNAV is probably still in its deceleration segment. So what we can use to cheat here is have a look at the standby instrument, which has the glide slope on it. We can see we're just about coming into the glide slope on the standbys, so I actually don't see much need to get the airplane down much quicker. However, we do have 22 knots of tailwind leading to 230 knots on the base leg over ground. So let's get flap 1 and get our speed back 182.
Qantas 462, are you visual?
Qantas 462, affirm. Over there's the airport.
Qantas 462, thanks. Qantas 462, turn left heading 360, join final 34 left, cleared independent visual approach.
Qantas 462, left heading 360, join final 3 for left, cleared independent visual approach. Alright, so flaps 5. We'll keep the speed where it is right now, that's what the charts set as well, where they want us to be. And from here we should be able to catch the glide slope without any problems. So, we have good indications, approach board is armed. So that's our runway. We'll use the ILS to catch it, even though officially we're flying a visual approach. That's what we've briefed earlier on as well.
Direct to G'day, descend 3000, you have about 25 track miles.
Descend 3000, off the 49.
Localizer is live. And we have localizer capture. Runway heading 335, glide slope capture, and that's 3,000 feet for the missed approach set. Let's dial that speed down. Basically, the 737-800, due to the larger energy that it has over the smaller versions, is very easily going to maintain its speed on the final. So, if you're flying down a 3-degree glide slope in Flap 5 as we're doing right now, then your speed is going to stay more or less the same. It's just, well, it is going to reduce, but very, very slightly. We can see that on the speed indicator here, that it's really going around 186. Now that's going to go 185 in a moment, but very, very slowly.
Qantas 462, contact tower 1205, yeah.
1205, Qantas 462, see ya. Alright, here we go, 120.5. Finish now, Qantas 462, visual 34 left.
Qantas 462, Sydney Tower, hello, number 2 for 3, question number 1 for 34 left.
Qantas 462, can we do a long roll-off, vacate at the end to the right?
Qantas 462, where do you want to vacate?
At the end to the right.
So you want to vacate Bravo 2, is that correct?
That's correct, Bravo 2.
Alright.
Jetstar 731 taxiing via Sierra Tango 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 6.
G'day.
Blocked.
Tower, you stepped on there, where do you want me to vacate to? Closest to your right, Bravo 10 please. Closest to the right, Bravo 10, closest.
Right, Atrat at 1900
contact
checks.
ground 126, Decimal 5, g'day. Contact ground, g'day.
Just brief, we're on center line so we can take the gear down.
462, surface winds 320 degrees, 9 knots, runway 34 left, please land.
Runway 34 left, dead land, Qantas 462. Alright, so, we'll put the auto brake off, gear down, flip 15. And we are clear to land. Passengers should be seated by now, so landing checklist. My flaps 30. Start switches. In continuous, recall, checked, speed brake on, green light, landing get down speed green, auto brakes off, flaps 30, 30, green light, and the landing lights are on, landing check is complete. So what you are going to notice is, due to the much higher airspeed in the 737-800 compared to the smaller versions, we are flying quite a bit higher rate of descent there, and that's totally expected. 500 continue. 500. Right, automatics going off.
Sydney Tower, contact 280.
Qantas 218, oh my god. Qantas 460, actually, yeah, continue approach, report when you're landed.
Continue approach,
50, 30, 20, 10.
Qantas 218, I'm not too sure why you crossed the runway without telling me. Taxi Alpha, Alpha 6
right,
point.
speed break up, thrust was normal.
Continuing runway 34 left.
And I'll reverse, let's get rid of that head-up display because I want to see when the end of the runway is coming. 100 knots. $80 knots.
Velocity 49, sit for left.
And manual braking. I mean, it's been an off anyway, so auto brake is disabled. So that's one further for Bravo to... Actually, we can go to the right over here as well.
Velocity 849, surface winds 320 degrees, 9 knots, runway 34 left, clear to land.
Runway 34 left, clear to land, velocity 849.
Qantas 218 behind the arriving Virgin Australia 737, line up and wait behind.
Wait.
Alright, let's stop here for a second. Still waiting for the hand off the ground. Qantas 462, runway vacated.
Qantas 462, hold short of Bravo, contact ground 126.5, good day.
Hold short of Bravo, 126.5, Qantas 462, good day. Let's call in first so that we can get clear of that runway exit. Hello, Qantas 462, runway vacated, and we're parking at domestic 1.
Qantas 462, taxi on Bravo 2 to the domestic 1 gate.
Bravo 2 to the domestic 1 gate, Qantas 460. Right, so Bravo 2 is pretty much straight ahead. We're basically on it already. So our gates are just over there, next to the other Qantas. Let's continue with the cleanup. And we're very close to the gate, so let's get that APU running as well. So we're reaching 3 minutes, shutdown engine number 2. System and brakes are normal. Recall is checked as well. We're gonna park to the left-hand side there of the other Qantas 737. So he's here, we're gonna go 2 positions, actually 1 position further, so let's just go over here.
Hit the ground, velocity 849, holding short of Bravo 4, domestic 3 apron.
Velocity 849, turn left on Bravo, cross runway 25, right on Golf, domestic 3 apron.
Okay, Bravo, cross 25.
Right, so 737 is the first one.
849.
So we have 2 blue and 1 red. Engines are dead.
Qantas 409, bay 10.
Well, let's get the ground services going, and I'm gonna leave the ATC frequency as well over here. So let's get the ground services going, get our airplane deboarded. So you guys can start over here, and you can start over here. Jetway is coming, that's perfect, and we have a ground power as well. So, we'll do the transit shutdown checklist. Electrical is on the ground power, fast mode's off. Probe heat auto, NEI's off, voice recorder on. We finally have that voice recorder. Air compacts auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off, exterior lights set, start switches auto brakes off, speed brakes down attempt, flaps up and alight, parking brake set, start lead is cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CBR circuit breaker in, and the cockpit door is unlocked. So, thank you everybody for joining. Ooh, that is loud. So thank you everybody for joining. I hope that you've enjoyed my first flight on Australia on this channel, and I hope that you have enjoyed the very first look on the PMDG 737-800. So that's it. That's our new duty. I really hope that you are going to be able to pick it up very, very soon if you haven't done so already. And until then, I wish you very nice flights in the 737-600, 700, hopefully the 800. And if you guys really want to support the channel, then there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below, over which you can make a small donation if you like. Until then, thank you very much for flying with me, and I'm hoping to see you all again very, very soon.